everyone, and welcome to another episode of
Nena's Hangout.
Woo! Yes. In today's episode, we're going to dive into the world of intentional dating. Yes, in the modern era. Over the past few years, the dating scene has undergone significant changes, with dating apps becoming more popular. As heterosexual individuals, we're sharing insight from our own experiences, but we hope that everyone listening can find something that resonates with them. So now, I'm excited to introduce our guest. He's not just a close friend of mine, but also someone with whom I've had countless conversations about the psychology of dating intentional. So please welcome to the show, Camilo.
Yes. First guy in the podcast.
Yes, the very first one.
Thank you, lady. I'm super proud of the work that you guys have been doing. So I want to say I'm a huge fan, and it's awesome to be part of this. And this topic is super fun.
So this is going to be a spicy episode. Okay, fun question. Where are you guys in your dating journey? Are you guys taken, single, in a situationship? Ooh.
Ladies first. Ladies first.
Ladies first. Okay, Prissy?
I am single.
Single. Mm-hmm. Looking for love?
No.
Not
right now. No, I'm kind of just like, I'm kind of taking every day as it goes. And if it comes unexpectedly, great. But I'm not like looking for it right now intentionally.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm just letting it come to me, I guess.
I love that.
Good mindset.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Jessie?
Yeah.
I'm seeing someone exclusively. So that's a step towards the right direction. You know, I'm more of a slow burn type of person. So we'll see where it goes. But I'm very excited with this new chapter because I have not been exclusive with someone in like 3 years. So
I'm so excited for you.
Yeah.
what about you,
Super
Camilo?
I am actually in a relationship. So I have a girlfriend.
Sorry, ladies.
He's taken.
No, I'm super happy. I'm in a relationship. It's going to be a little over 3 months now. And super happy with her. So I'm just glad that I'm past the initial dating phase and really enjoying learning what it's like to be in like a true relationship after not being in one for a while. So excited.
Yes. No, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. First question. What does dating intentional mean to you?
To me, it means really, first and foremost, just knowing yourself. You gotta really take time. And this is where I think that for anyone that's just currently dating anyone or looking to date, just spending some time to looking inwards and spending time to understand what are your goals, what are your beliefs, your values, understanding your priorities, your wants and your not wants too. Because when you're dating, you're gonna come across a lot of things and a lot of different people. So knowing all those things from the get-go is really going to make it easy because then that way you can focus. So I think that's the first piece. And then I would say on top of that, being realistic about the process. I feel like a lot of people, have expectations and you have a lot of like, just pressures that you put on yourself. So just being realistic and understanding that things are not just going to happen overnight and just understanding that it's going to take a lot of efforts and it's going to take a lot of just meeting a lot of different people. And then by doing that, you're just not putting so much pressure on yourself. And by being clear on what you want, you can go out and look for it. And then lastly, I would say communicating that in the dating process. That's also part of being intentional, is like communicating that to the people that you are going on dates with, so you're not wasting your time or theirs.
I like that because, like you said, you're not wasting your time or the other person's time. And to me, like, time is very valuable. Dating intentionally to me means like being honest and direct about how I'm feeling and what I'm feeling with the person, because I understand that they can't read my mind, especially if it's somebody that I just met. So dating intentionally means not making the same mistakes, not repeating the same patterns. And I love and value my life that I don't want to just share it with anybody that's not going to be adding to it, or if we're not going to be making each other better.
Yeah, I resonate with a lot of things that you guys have said. I think the one thing that it's unique to me is I show up with purpose and consideration. And I approach dates with the mindset, I learned to do this, that I'm not going to meet my husband in the first date.
Yeah.
No, that's a toxic mentality.
Too much pressure.
It puts a lot of pressure on like either parties involved.
Yeah.
So instead, understand my needs and wants, like you guys said, add a little bit of fun to the mix and come in with an open heart and an open mind. That's it.
Yeah, I like that. One thing I want to add that I didn't get to say earlier is also understanding that as much as you're expecting, you have to put out as well.
Yes.
So I think that it's important to know that it's not only about what you receive. You have to put efforts. If you want a certain standard or a certain level of a partner, you got to do that yourself as well.
Yes.
You know, put the efforts, work hard, and do all that.
Yeah.
So otherwise, it wouldn't be fair for them.
No.
No, and
at
I think, you have to ask yourself, like, would you date yourself? Like, would I date myself? Like, do I think that I'm worthy of dating, you know?
Right.
I like that.
Would you?
Yes.
I would love to date myself.
Yeah, same. You gotta be proud. Yeah.
I would love
We're
Yeah.
all a catch
Love
here.
yourself, then you can love other people. I like
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Since the three of us are dating intentionally, do you guys have a pattern? Do you have a type, physical or emotional?
Want me to answer?
Yeah, go for it.
I think this is funny, and Jesse's gonna laugh because we've known each other as friends for now a few years, and
Yes.
She's been around in my dating journey, and she was actually the one that helped me realize that I actually had a physical type. So it doesn't matter, because I think really what matters is, just the intellectual and all that. Obviously we all do, and I'm okay with having one, but definitely just through stories of my dating life, one day just Jessie came up and she's like, you know what, you actually have a type that you like. And then she described it. I'm like, actually, yes. So it's funny. It's like definitely like,
Yes.
physical traits that would be Latina and pretty eyes and just, dark hair and all that. Like, it doesn't matter, like I said. But to me, I also do have an intellectual and like personality type. And for me, knowing that and being clear about that, like I said earlier in the other question, is important. So for me, having someone that is good at communicating, has a good sense of humor, that has goals, that understands what struggle is, because I've struggled in my life, and understanding
That's a good
having
one.
someone
Yeah.
that actually has values, putting efforts in your life and striving hard to become successful. I think that for me, meeting someone and being with someone that values that is really important. So I always look for that. And then I'm a curious person, so always learn new things, and finding ways to kind of like surprise myself is good. So dating someone that has multiple dimensions and different hobbies, has
Yes.
different interests is important for me, because it keeps me interested.
Yeah,
So
like a
that has
well-rounded
been-
person.
Exactly.
Because if they only play video games,
Yeah,
like
if if there's one thing that they do and that's the only thing, then I'd be bored. So,
Yeah.
for me, having, I always find myself dating interesting women that have different experiences,
Yeah.
that have lived in different places. I love to travel, so also that. So I think that's kind of my type.
I don't think I have a physical type. Like, if you look at the people that I've dated, like, they don't look alike, but they do have in common like how I'm being treated and like how they're making me feel. At least the most recent ones, like, I feel like I have been blessed with good men, and the type that I tend to go for is like kind, somebody that can make me feel accepted. And whenever I'm not accepting myself, having somebody to like that does make you feel accepted is like a big thing for me. And I try to pick up on like the values and the morals that that person has, and the lifestyle, like you said. And from that, then I decide if I want to continue on deepening a connection or not. I like it whenever they make me think differently.
for me, I like my men of color or with dark features. Another physical attraction that I find very attractive is just like strong arms. Like, I want to feel protected.
Has
like,
to be jacked.
Yeah. But like an embrace that makes me feel protected. That's something I really like. But beyond that, I think someone that is super intelligent. I think intelligence, like what you
It's
guys
huge.
said, it leads to curiosity, leads to them being like more well-rounded. It leads to everything. So for me, like, intelligence is the foundation. I think that's my type.
I wanna add on to mine, because like, I don't know why, but what you said, like, they have to be jacked. Like, I don't. That just like made.
I mean,
Yeah, no, but it made me think about something. To me, like, I hope it doesn't come out mean, but if they're willingly overweight, that just tells me like their habits maybe. Like it's like, okay, they're not putting, because it's, I want to live a healthy life, be good internally and outwardly for like myself and other people, for my partner. So I want somebody that not necessarily cares about like looking a certain way, but their health, like, you know, good habits. Because at the end of the day, like that tells you as well, like how the person is.
If you want to be in a long-term relationship with them, you want them
Exactly.
to last for long and have a good lifestyle.
Yes,
and if you want to have kids with them, you want them to also be healthy for when the kids grow up.
Exactly.
And
Right.
So it's okay to accept that their visual aspect is important and you know, being attracted visually to someone, but there's other aspects of it is more what it signifies.
Exactly.
Too,
It's what it represents.
In early dating stages, how do you determine whether someone is worth your time and efforts?
This is where like being intentional comes into play. If you know what you're looking for, if you know where you stand, your values, your beliefs, you over time kind of figure out ways to ask those questions and find them out. So if you have it very clear as you're in those dates, you start figuring out whether they align with that. If you don't have that clear, you're not gonna find out, and it's gonna take a while. But when you do, yes.
And what's one of the questions that you asked the ladies?
For me, I consider myself very adventurous. I love to travel. I love to. I respect diverse of thought. So some of the questions you can ask is, what is the perfect day and what places would they go? Things like that. I think that it gives you an idea of where their mind is at. And because I like to travel, I like to ask a lot of questions about the places they've been, the places they want to go. They don't have to necessarily have been to multiple places, but if they want to be, then that's good enough for me because I love to travel and I would be happy to travel with them.
I'm gonna go back to curiosity. Like, I need to feel curious about the person that I'm dating. Because if I can keep on going with my day without wanting to check in, without wanting to text them or anything, that just kind of tells me that I'm not into them. I give it tops 3 months to develop a connection, or I guess that spark with somebody. Because sometimes you're not gonna get it like this. So within those 3 months, if I still don't feel that curiosity or the yearning of them, of wanting to be with them, then it's a no for me.
I'm going to expand on one of your points. I think listening to yourself and your body, it's really important. Your body tells you things that sometimes your mind is not there yet. And I'm going to tell a quick story. Recently, I went on a date with someone who seemed to check all my boxes. I was like, okay, on paper, this dude sounds great. He tried to kiss me and I pulled away. And that told me everything I needed to know. Like, no, I'm not chemically attracted to you, or there's something here that like my body's telling me like, ooh, because my reaction was, ooh, so listen to your body. Listen to your body. It tells you things. I've also experienced anxiety attacks after being intimate with a person. And guess what? It didn't work out because they trigger my anxiety, you know? And so that's my body telling me like, it's not going to work out.
Because it's really all about both emotions and reason. It's not just reason, it's not just it's both. So yes, they can go down your checklist, but if they don't make you feel a certain way, then it's not going to work. And having clear that it has to be both, and if one of them is missing, then it just may not work.
Yeah,
So.
especially because if you want a meaningful, deep relationship, like it shouldn't just, oh, there's this person, I'm attracted to this person, and that's good enough, you know? Like it intakes a lot of things, emotions, physical, and that connection, and you know, lifestyle and all of that. So if you want something worthy, I feel like you need to be picky.
Yeah.
That's true. Since you mentioned about questions, I want to give you one that it's like my favorite question to ask. But I want to say that it's not about just asking. It's like more of a walking the person through the question. So my question that I like to ask is, describe your perfect day. But it's not just that. It's like literally spending the time with them and saying like, okay, you wake up. What time do you wake up? And what do you do? And then telling them like, hey, magic is available, so you can do whatever. And then literally go hour by hour of the day telling them, okay, if they say they wake up and they say, I wake up in my hometown. And then you say, okay, what do you have for breakfast? And you literally ask for all those details hour by hour. Slowly you start peeling more information about the person because they start saying, what their favorite food is, because it's your perfect day, right? So you would assume that they would say the things that they would like to do on that day. So the favorite food, the people that they would spend time with, the places that we go, because I would tell them like, teletransportation is available, you can do this, and then you're in a different place, so you can have breakfast in your hometown and then have lunch in Italy or whatever. And depending on how they start telling you things, you start learning about them. And it's like one that is my favorites because you can learn a ton, and you also learn about what they like, the people that they value in their lives. So if they say, for example, someone told me that, the entire morning they would just be by themselves and, in like the morning. So then I was like, okay, they just like to be on their own. But if they say spend time with their family or friends, and then they are like to party and do all these different things, then you start learning a lot more. So that's my favorite. I love asking that question.
I'm going to use that question on my next date.
We have to be committed at like making them like say each thing, because people would just
like you wake up and you don't brush your teeth.
Do this, this, and that. No, you actually have to walk him through it. It's fun. That's one of my favorites, and I always, when I was dating, that was one of my favorite ones to ask.
I love that question.
Okay, one question. Describe your perfect date.
Well, I mean, I gratefully have been in great dates. Like there was the most recent one. We had a picnic, and I didn't have to lift a finger. Like the guy did everything, and he even texted me. He's like, "You just have to show up. That's all you have to do." And he did the picnic. He chose the place, and he took me. I showed you. It was like this light show with water, and it was great. It was a great date, but like, for me, I guess it's like it depends on the person. Like that's what makes it a great date, because I have also had a great date at a grocery store because we were just laughing the whole time, So that a great date to me is like if we don't even look at our phones, if we're just connecting with each other, if we're just, one simple question, like you said, led me to this, like having this vulnerable moment, like it makes the whole experience so like unique and valuable.
My perfect date, it would be when unexpected things happen.
Okay.
That's good too.
So one of my favorite dates was we had an awesome date at a dinner, blah blah blah. We went to the park. It was too cold. We were in his car, and he turned on his car and the battery died.
That's really unexpected.
That was really unexpected. But then you get to figure out, conflict resolution together, a lot of things together.
Yeah. Teamwork.
Exactly. Teamwork.
I like that.
So I really like when unexpected things happen in a date. When you're also, it's not just you guys are in a bubble, but you're also living life together, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Because you get to see him in a different kind of mindset or moment.
Yes, yes. When we're also interacting with the external, with the outside. Yeah.
That's good. Okay, you guys both kind of alluded to this.
Okay.
Would you rather be in a date that you plan or in a date that's planned for you? You mentioned that you liked that one date because everything was planned and you didn't have to.
I mean, that was nice because I'm not gonna lie, I've been a little stressed, so that made me want to go on the date.
Pressure on you.
Yeah, exactly. Like had I had to plan it, I don't know if I would have brought the same energy that I did.
I would say more of the times, would you rather plan it or would you rather have it planned by the guy?
Have the guy plan it. Have the guy plan it. Yes, for sure.
Sounds good.
What about you? Describe your perfect date and...
I would say, for perfect dates, I've had really great dates, but I would say the ingredients of a good date is usually having fun, being, effortless. So when you don't feel like you're acting, when you're feeling that you can be yourself, I think that those are have been my favorite ones. Dates that intrigue you, that are, you want to learn more about the person, that leave you wanting more. I feel like those are the dates that I've enjoyed the most because I always kind of want to figure out the person more. I think excitement is part of it. I like planning dates. I enjoy it, and I like surprising my dates. And now that I have a girlfriend, I love doing stuff that she enjoys and that she doesn't expect. So I enjoy the process of planning the dates and putting together ideas. But I would say, it's all about fun. It's about connection. It's about curiosity. Things that, a date that can bring all those things, it will be a perfect date. And I don't know if I've had one perfect date, but I've had amazing dates
Yes.
with multiple times.
It's
I
the
think,
people.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
it's the
ingredients, and then
people.
your attitude too. I
Yes.
think you mentioned that too. Yeah.
Okay, to switch things up a little bit, I do want to say I believe everyone here is very progressive and very open minded. And from experience, I've realized that we all value somewhat traditional relationships, but with a strong emphasis on mutual respect. That being said, I think Prissy and I have learned to redefine masculinity and femininity during our dates and during our journey in dating. So I think I have a question for you, Camilo. Like, how do you balance your masculine energy during dates without coming off as toxic masculinity? How do you escalate without coming off as like a creep? This is a hard one.
It is a hard question. And I think it's hard, not because the question itself is hard. It's the environment that we're on right now.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of, I don't know, conflictive ideas and visions on what interactions between men and women are. So to your point, I think we are progressive. We have a really kind of like open-minded mentality, but we still enjoy the traditional kind of aspects of dating. So within that, I'm going to answer that question within that dynamic. Yeah. So I would say first and foremost is really, as a man, I need to understand my role, and I'm okay with traditional roles. So going into dates, knowing that I have to be the one, likely towards the beginning, courting, putting together the dates, leading the interactions and all that. I think that I have to be okay with that. 1, 2, I have to do it in the context of I am a person, the woman that I'm with on the date, she's a person, and she also deserves respect. She has autonomy, and I have to be mindful of that. So whenever I'm in an interaction, I have to be, first and foremost, really good at reading her and listening when I'm in the date, understanding where she's at before I'm escalating. So like when I'm in the interaction, I have to be very conscious of that, but at the same time, which is tricky, be able to lead the interaction and escalate.
Because you don't want to be a friend with her.
Exactly.
You want a
At the end of the day, we're dating, right? And it's like a romantic kind of setting. So I want to say most women are not going to escalate, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but in general, women expect the guy, or at least traditional women expect the guy to make the move, to actually, every single step in the process, the guys kind of lead it. But that's the problem, is that we as men have to be very cognizant of what that means.
Yeah.
And we cannot just do it without seeing where the girl is at. So I think it's really, really important to first acknowledge and make sure that she feels safe. So whenever I was on date, just making sure that she felt safe. And then as I was seeing the way that the interaction went, I would escalate, and I would start, just doing, the humor, and then escalating los piropos, and then just being assertive, because there's certain things that you women are attracted to.
Like touch
so
the little hand.
Yeah, you have to do those things. But I'm not gonna go touch your hand if you're giving me the the body
vibe
language
that,
that
like,
no, you don't, or you're just so
What are you doing?
really, as a man, we have to become really good at learning how to read body language and reading the room in general. I think that's, and then also personifying those traits that allow you to feel like we are in that courting moment. And that's not easy. I think that I went to so many dates, and over time I got better at it, but it's easy to do something and then come across forceful, so it's an art.
It's sensitive,
it's
but it's the art of flirting, right?
Exactly.
Yes, it's not easy. As someone who is so progressive, so open-minded, so liberal, but also wanting like a man to lead. And sometimes whenever they pay, I'm like, oh shit, should I have like offer to pay? It's a hard balance, but as long as you communicate and as long as you read the person, I think you should be fine. And I've also learned recently that sometimes us as women, we label creepy like it's
whatever.
Yeah.
When in reality, no, it's not like that. You're just not attracted to that person, which is why you now see it as creepy.
Yeah, that's good that you said that, because that's so true. Like if a guy that you didn't like did that, you would have been like, ew, don't touch me. But if it was like a guy that you've been, oh
You'd
my
act
god,
different.
crushing, I'm like, put it up higher.
Okay, that reminds.
For sure. Have you guys heard about the concept of the 3 S's?
No.
No, do you remember this? I think we talked about this a long time ago.
Maybe.
Do you remember? Okay, so the concept is, well, this is for women that are like heterosexual women that are looking for relationships. They are looking for the 3 S's. They want to feel safe,
I have heard this.
sexy,
Yeah.
and then what's the last one?
Special.
So when I learned that, it made it click for me, because when you are in an interaction, those 3 things have to be present.
Yes.
So you are not gonna like a guy if he makes you special and makes you feel sexy, but then doesn't make you feel safe. Then it's not gonna happen. And if you remove the other one, if he makes you feel safe and it makes you feel special but not sexy, and then the way I read sexy is more like that makes you feel like
Desired.
into your desire and then all that. So I like that, and it helped me a lot going into dates, understanding that needs to be present for an actual kind of like emotional spark to happen within that interaction with a woman. It made it easier for me. So whenever I, was on dates, I, having those 3 in mind.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a
if
good
I
one.
just focus on safe, it's gonna be boring, and
That's
she's
a
not gonna
good
like it. So I have
one.
to focus on all those 3.
So
Do you
guys,
think- Yeah.
safe, sexy, special.
Do you think it applies to men too?
Men actually are different.
Yeah.
There's no 3 S's. I have to think about it. I think for men, supposedly we want to feel respected. The other one was to have fun. So like humor, think about like you want to be on a date with someone that you can have fun. And then the part of attraction. So I think sexy too, like you want to desire the woman and you also want to feel desired by her. I think those 3 things are more important. I think for us being safe, fortunately for us and unfortunately for you ladies, it's not such a big priority.
Yeah.
But I think it's those 3. Respect is important for us because we put so many efforts and all that. And if
Yeah.
we don't feel respected by the woman that's with us, I think it's a big
It's like
turn
a
off.
slap on
Yeah.
your masculinity
Yeah, exactly.
in a way.
I love that. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's respect, attraction,
and then humor.
Humor.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say to me at least those
Yes.
3. Remove one of those 3 and then no.
That's
And,
good though. I'm
it's
gonna
the
write that
same
down.
thing.
So, with that being said, what are some green flags that you look for, Camila?
I would say green flags depend on each person, but to me, going back to being intentional, looking for someone that aligns with my values, my beliefs, someone that is good communicator. Since I value that, maybe some people don't care about that, but for me, green flag, if she's a great communicator, good for me, because I want to have a relationship where, communication is one of the pillars. So huge green flag. I would say also that they are in the same page as I am. Like we may be that person would be in the perfect person, but if they're currently not looking to date, then it's a waste of
that's
time. So I think they have to be on the same page as I currently am. And then I would say someone that is willing to work and do the efforts. Like I said, it's not easy. No matter how perfect the other person is, you expecting that you have to put in work in a relationship, and then not giving up. I think right on the first problem that arises. I think to me, I expect in my current relationship, we've had amazing moments and we've had difficult moments, but what's constant is that we're putting the efforts there. And I think you want a partner that's willing to work and make the relationship move forward. So I think those are huge green flags that I look for, someone that's consistent, that wants to put in the work too. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, those are good ones.
You, Prissy?
For me, some green flags. I love me a hard worker, somebody that's kind, loving, that they're aware of mental health and how important it is.
Yeah.
Somebody that has goals as well. And I love and appreciate honesty. I really do. I love whenever they ask about my family. And when they let me know in their own way that they're thinking of me. I've had guys when that they just leave like a rose and a note in my car. And if I was having a stressful day, I was like, oh my gosh, like
Shows that they
that is
care.
so
exactly.
sweet.
Or you know, when somebody just door dashes me something because they want to fulfill a craving, just because, that means a lot to me, because it's like, in like I said, in their own way, they're looking out for me.
For me, it's a lot of what you guys said: communication, being intentional, all of those. But I think one thing that it's really important to me, and I didn't realize until much later, was when a man has a life, whenever they have friends, whenever they have a whole community,
one.
and it's not a loner who is trying to get all his social interaction from me.
you.
That is so draining.
It's clingy.
Yes, it's clingy. And come on, you're telling me that you don't have friends, or that you don't have hobbies? Like, that for me, it's a red flag. But a green flag would be someone that does have a community, that has a busy schedule. It shows that they have hobbies, interests, that they're well-rounded, that they're doing
Yeah.
something with their time and not just like wasting their time.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's really important, because at the end of the day, you want someone that adds up to your life but not becomes your entire life.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
looking for someone that already has a good base in life, it's great, because then you know
Yeah.
their life is not going to revolve around you, and
Yes.
it's just going to be healthy.
Exactly.
So
And
that's
it
great.
means when they have their own life and they're still trying to make time for you, oh my god, like that just
That's
gets
fun.
me.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I'm like, oh my god, yes, like you care about me and this is gonna work, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually have a follow-up question, because this is one of the things I like doing, just dating, is I always like to come up with random questions based on
Yeah,
the
I love it.
conversation. You mentioned something, and I want to ask it to the three of us. We can say,
okay.
if someone were to DoorDash you something, what would you want it to be? And you could say something that you received. That's a good follow-up to what you said.
I've gotten food.
Food, but like what?
Yes. I
Something
got-
specific. Be specific. Like,
I
Amelia,
got-
you have to be specific.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I'll be specific.
So he DoorDashed me Taco Cabana tacos, one potato and then one with bacon, extra bacon,
Wow.
because I like to put it with the potato one, you know. And then, and then he also got me a frappe. It was
Dang.
like a chocolate frappe or something, and it just meant a lot to me because I was so hungry, and I was just literally ranting to him like, I'm hungry, like I didn't have time to eat, da da da. Da. And he was like, I got you, mama. It's like, what do you want? You know?
So he told you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know how, I don't know, like I would have done it without telling you, and then just have
Well,
the
he
food
needed the
shop.
address.
Oh, you didn't have that? Oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
It's early dating, Amelia,
Yeah,
not
no.
relationship.
That's true. That's true. I keep forgetting. Okay, what about you, Jessie?
For me, oh my gosh. If they were to DoorDash me elote, or like one of those Mexican treats, fresas con crema, like, you
Yeah.
know who? Please
Tons of
take
points.
notes.
I want to say for me is either ice cream or like a
Okay.
milkshake, or like tacos from like my favorite place. If I'm in Dallas,
Yes.
you know, there's a specific few, or
Chilangos.
Chilangos or what? Montes.
Montes.
If they were to shop, like I'd be like, okay, she has tons of points already.
Okay, Joanna, well,
Actually, Joanna, when I went to Colombia last time, she had my favorite coffee shop in Colombia is called Pergamino, and she
Sí.
had Pergamino coffee waiting for me. So that was huge. That made a big deal.
So
Yes.
cute. Yeah.
Tons of points.
yes. All right, we talked about green flags. Now we're going to talk about red flags. What are the no-nos?
Deal breakers.
Deal breaker.
Or they give you the ick.
Yeah.
I want to say it's probably just the opposite of what you said. Bad communicator, super inconsistent. You know, someone that's kind of sketchy and you don't know where they are at. I would say someone controlling. I think that's also not good.
Yeah.
Someone that wants to change you. Like, I feel like part of being in a relationship is accepting the other person. It's okay to want them to be better, but like if from the get-go you just kind of want to change them and you want everything that they're currently not, then that's not a good thing. So whenever I've come across with women that have been that way, I just don't think it's a good it's a good flag. I think it's just bad news that they just want to make you into what they want
want.
and not who
Yeah.
you are, and accepting you. I'm not saying that we are not all able to help our partner get better, and there's ways to do it in a very tactful way and inspiring them, but without the expectation of it happening. I think that's important. So yeah, I would say looking for that, and then honesty and communication. Like I said, if they don't have that, then yeah.
I
huge
agree
red
with
flag.
that, honestly. I think one red flag that that really scares me is when men look at me like a piece of meat. It doesn't matter that I'm well educated, doesn't matter that I have a good career going on. Whenever they automatically put me in that box, like, I hate that so much, because just because they look at my Instagram, or they find that I'm like a dancer, that I do a crochet or heel stands, and then all they see is like a sexual object, that is just disgusting.
That's a good one. A big turn off for me is if they're rude to people, and it's happened to me. Like, I got a huge ick from this guy that was like rude to homeless people. Like, he literally pretended like he was gonna run over one. I was like, what are you doing, dude? Like, oh my god, it was a big turn on for me. And when they're consistently pessimistic, like if they're just complaining and about their problems, but they're not like wanting to do something, that's like, all right, dude, like, what are you?
If they're negative, because you don't want to be around someone that's just constantly in the negative side.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, there's obviously, if you're going through something, like, you know, if you're in a depressive like mindset right now or something, if it's just a rachita, if it's just like temporary, that's different.
Makes sense.
But if it's somebody that, like, even if it's been, I don't know, like a longer than it should, if they're still not willing to put in the effort and not show up for themselves, that's a no for me.
Yes, and I think with dating intentional and modern dating, we get ghosted a lot, we get rejected. Unfortunately, it's part of the game, right, that we're playing. So, Camilo, how do you deal with ghosting and rejection?
That's a great question. I would say, to me, one thing that I learned over time, especially as a man, I think accepting rejection is part of the process. And I think it happens both ways. I think men get rejected and women get rejected. Specifically for men, in my experience that I had, and my realization over time was, every step of the way in the courting process, and even in our relationship process, and just life process in regards to a romantic relationship, it almost means the rejections in every single step for a man. If you think about it, from the moment that you find a girl and you find her attractive and you want to ask her out, you are exposed to being rejected. Then to asking for her phone number, you're exposed to being rejected. To asking her an actual date, rejected. You can be rejected. So every single step, all the way to the moment you want to ask her if she wants to be your girlfriend, to the moment that you ask if they want to marry you, the actual moment when you are in the altar asking if they want to marry you. So you're exposed to rejection in every single step. And like I said earlier, the men, we, at least in traditional kind of like roles, we are the ones kind of like in charge of leading the way. So accepting rejection as part of the process was kind of a huge thing for me, because I almost kind of, just gonna sound kind of weird, but like I almost embraced it, and knowing like, okay, I can be rejected, but even if I can get rejected, I'm gonna still move forward because it's what I want. And if they say no, okay, well then that is gonna save me time, So I think being okay with it, obviously it's gonna hurt. There's a moment and there's emotions and all that, but rejection is part of it, and there's no way around it. And sometimes people reject you, and it's actually for the better. So sometimes I think someone said is redirection and rejection. I think that's what I would say. As far as ghosting is another type of rejection. It's just a rejection without an explanation. And actually, to me personally, whenever I came across people that would ghost me, actually it was good, because then I value communication, like I said. And if they ghosted me, then that shows that they lack that. So it speaks to their
it's about
lack
perspective.
Exactly. So to me, it's that.
I love that.
What about you guys?
I think ghosting is someone being immature and they just can't talk to you straight up. Like, we're not in middle school, we're not in high school. Like, that's, and I don't care if you're a boy or a girl. If you're ghosting, you do not have what it takes to be in a meaningful relationship. I personally don't let people ghost me.
How do you do that?
It's only happened twice in my life, thank God. Knock on wood, it doesn't happen again. And the first guy, I texted my closure text, because because it was going great, and then out of nowhere, like after a simple question, like they just stopped answering, and I was like, what the hell? Like, you looked like obsessed with me. Like, what happened? And then I texted them, and then he apologized. You know, he was upfront. He was like, you're right. Like, I was being a coward. Like, I'm so sorry. And then with the other guy, I didn't care enough to know what he had to say after I said what I wanted to say, so I just blocked him.
Okay.
And when it comes to rejection, like you said, you're not gonna die if you're being rejected.
Yeah.
I have learned to also not really take it personally, because I reject people all the time, and I'm sure that you guys do as well.
Yes.
You too. You still probably do.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that the person wasn't good enough. It's just, maybe it just wasn't meant to be. You know, it makes rejection worth it. Once you have that connection, once you have that experience with somebody, it's like, oh, like this was worth every rejection, every redirection. You know?
Yes. The one thing that I do have to add is, for me, it's very much like the thank you next mentality, because it just means that I'm one person closer to my person.
Giving space for the people that actually.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Since we're aware that unfortunately ghosting and rejection is part of this process of dating intentionally, what do you do to avoid burnout and to stay motivated?
I would say first, detaching yourself from the outcome is important. I think if you're going on dates, don't expect, like you said way earlier, don't expect that you're gonna find the person you're gonna marry. It's too much pressure.
Yeah.
I think that's just not unrealistic, and it's just not good. I would say on top of that, just being realistic about, you know, the dating process. There's things you don't know, so you gotta get better at. There's people with different expectations, different values, different things. So it's gonna take time. I didn't mention this, but when I moved to Dallas 2 years ago, I was fleshly, you know, single, and I wanted to obviously date. I was ready. I, you know, had done a lot of work, you know, personally with therapy and all that, but I also wanted to put myself out there.
Yeah.
But part of the whole thing wasn't only about just meeting someone, but also I was in a new city, so I wanted to get to know the city. I wanted to make new connections. So my goal, even though I was going on dates, was also just to connect with the city and get to know it. So it was kind of like a secondary goal, and that helped me kind of like remove some of that pressure of like, oh, I'm gonna find that person. And I was also connecting with people. So essentially what I was doing is, it was kind of removing so much weight from the process, and then trying to enjoy it, and putting other goals in it. So for me, it was, I want to learn about myself. I was in a really long relationship before, so learning about dating in the new world for me, it was about getting to know the new city, connecting with people, potentially networking. So if you put other things in the mix, and you focus on that, and then you don't put expectations on, oh, I'm gonna find my, you know, wife in the very first kind of like date, then you are going to be able to enjoy the process and potentially get other things out of it. So I think removing the pressure and then enjoying it, and then being willing to learn too, it helps, you know, removing that burnout, and then balancing out with other things. I think that's also important. Having other things besides just dating, I think it's important too.
That's what I was gonna say. I think having like my hobbies outside really made it seem like not so overwhelming in general. Making sure that you have a life before, that you rely on your community, on your friends, on your family. Like, it's gonna make the process so much easier. Now that I'm like halfway through my 20s, it is the time to let loose, to meet people, to have different conversations with different people, and just expand your mind and your network. It's not really to find your husband.
So it's about learning about yourself and
in
what
the
you
process.
want, because you may not know it. You know,
Right.
you're still kind of like new into the
Adulthood.
Yeah, that's true.
For me, one of my like favorite Bible verses is Romans 8:18, and it states that the suffering compares nothing to what's about to come. And that's something that I like to remind myself of when I'm going through like any type of burnout, you know, not just romantically. I also like to read and listen to a bunch of podcasts, mainly Jay Shetty. And I also love talking to my therapist, getting a different perspective on things. And I feel like it's helped me grow inwards and outwards, you know. And I stay motivated when I reminisce on the good connections that I've had, on the good experiences that I've had. I love the version of me that comes out when I'm in love, and when I feel those butterflies. I love, like, pure genuine love is something that's truly out of this world, and having someone smitten over you and then you being smitten over that person, I feel like it truly makes life feel like it's made out of rainbows, and there's like happiness all around, you know. And so it makes me excited for that special connection that I'm gonna feel next, you know. Just because something ended doesn't mean that I'm never gonna be in love again.
You made a connection once, you're most likely able to make a connection twice.
And if you focus on learning, even if you go to a date and it doesn't turn out great, at least you can try to practice things. Like I personally, there's a lot of things in dating that I didn't feel comfortable with. Like, you know, towards the beginning, I didn't feel comfortable escalating or doing things like that. But over time, the more I was dating, the better I got. And then it's just like...
He's a pro now.
Like, you know what? Like, there's one thing that I don't even know where I heard this. This is not related to dating, but somehow I connected it later on to dating. And I think that someone said that it's like if they put you in the final of the World Cup, and they have you kick the last like penalty kick, you either score and you win the World Cup, or you literally just lose, right? So like at the end of the day, people that are in the World Cup, they train, they have to go through all difficulties. It's part of the process about learning. So that's kind of how I equated it, is like I'm going through all this process, and it's going to be difficult times, but I'm learning so that when I meet my perfect woman, then my future wife or whatever, I'm going to be ready. So that's how I was like, hey, if this doesn't work, I'm learning for when she shows up, and then I'm going to be ready.
Like
I think I like thinking about that, because it's like, dating, no one gives us instructions on how to date. So you kind of have to figure out, and unfortunately nowadays there's a lot of resources, but even then it's kind of hard. So you kind of have to pave your way yourself. So being okay with the struggle and being okay with difficulties is okay, and then also just sticking through the process and learning through it. So I think
and it's not meant to work with everybody. Imagine if everybody that you dated with was your future wife. You know, like, you're only gonna be married once. I mean, you know,
well, ideally.
Ideally.
No, that makes sense.
So we talked a little bit about burnout, but I think modern dating and technology has contributed to that burnout and that feeling of just frustration in modern dating. So why do you think dating sucks now? And do you think that dating apps have negatively impacted dating?
I think that dating sucks now because we say that we know what we want, but when we have it, like, we can easily let it go merely because it's not perfect. And I have heard and given some excuses to end things that don't make sense. And to me, it sounds like we're putting these barriers ourselves. We stop ourselves from truly experiencing something beautiful out of fear of rejection, or out of fear for not being accepted for who we are. And dating sucks now because there's people out there that want to be with each other so bad, but they're not, because the excuses and the problems that that our mind has created, and or because we don't know how to give or receive love. And I feel like dating apps have both pros and cons. I feel like it makes it convenient for those of us that don't really work around people our age. And dating apps, you know, have helped people that are introverted and that may be too scared to put themselves out there.
Very briefly before we jump into you, I think dating can be frustrating nowadays because everybody has an opinion. How many dating coaches do we have out there offering their free services or their services, right? And the market is saturated with advice, and that advice can be confusing and conflicting. And social media, dating apps, and even porn, they contribute to this like abundance mentality and this rapid, quick gratification. You know, oh, I don't need a woman. I can just watch this video and, you know, release myself.
That's true.
That's a really good point.
And it's all so fast paced, and
Yeah.
it's very deeply rooted in our capitalist and consumerist culture, and you can see it in the rise of baby daddy culture or sugar babies. Like everything is so fast paced, everything is very transactional
And easy.
and easy, yeah, accessible at our fingertips. Literally, you can find someone a date tomorrow, and we're the first generation to go through it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
previous generations, they knew someone who recommended you to go on a date with. It's not like that anymore.
Yeah, or it would stay within the same radius. Like, did we go to school together? Did we live near each other? Or, you know?
Yeah. To me, the biggest challenge, and you alluded to this, is how we live in a world where we have the perception of like options. Like right now, you go on social media and you have access to people that live miles and miles away from you, even in different countries, and it kind of gives your brain the weird sensation that you actually have access to people. So all these models, at least from a men's perspective, and then all these, just essentially like sexual material, and it just gives you this the sense that like you always want something more, and then it's just unrealistic. And then two is, you mentioned this too, is it almost gives you the sense that people are like disposable, because in the apps, if you can find and match with many people on Instagram or like on social media, you can connect with many people. So when you're going on dates, at the very first issue that comes up, the very first obstacle, you're like, I don't need to deal with this.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna like swipe left and then just go find someone new, which at the end of the day, we need to understand that that's not how relationships work. And relationships require, efforts, require alignment. They're not easy. It requires kind of connecting and having good discussions with the other person, because we're always going to meet with, unless you meet your clone, you're always going to find someone that's completely different than you.
Yeah.
So no matter how perfect they are, they're going to have different upbringings and things. So you're going to have to put efforts for it to work. And giving up on the very first issue is not gonna help you find someone else. It's just gonna continue to repeat the same pattern until you're just tired, and that's why it feels that it sucks, because you just like are jumping and not trying to put efforts. I realize that there's moments where you just kind of, if you are very intentional, you should stop dating someone if you feel like it's not the right fit. But sometimes it's just not that it's not the right fit. It's just like a process of getting to know the person and being okay with, the uncomfortable. I think we are not okay with difficulties right now. We just want, the instant gratification, like you guys said. And I think that's just not realistic in a relationship.
Yeah, and love is a choice. You choose to be that person. You wake up every day choosing that person. Como sea que sean, like however they come.
It's a decision that you make. It's not just what you feel.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's commitment. So, Camilo, do you have any advice for the heterosexual men that are watching?
Yes.
Any tips?
Kind of recapping what we said at the beginning, knowing yourself, knowing what you want, definitely be clear, spend time, figuring that out, and that it's going to make the whole process easy. I would say look for that once you know what it is, and be honest and communicating that it helps you not waste time and other people's time. Detach yourself from outcome, like we said earlier.
Yeah.
And then for men specifically, I would say embrace the challenge. I think, and I guess you can apply to women too, but like for men, we need to be aware of what it means to be a man in a relationship. And I hope I don't get canceled, but like we need to be, embody the traits that women are attracted to in the traditional sense. So be okay with you having to lead the way, put together the dates, leading the interaction, be assertive and do it in a respectful manner. But if you don't know how to do those things or don't feel comfortable, just continue trying it. Practice makes perfect. I think that a lot of men, unfortunately, I know men out there that they just kind of give up, and they, like you said earlier, porn and it's easy, and then you're done. No, I want to be in a relationship, and I want to be with someone that I can, spend my life with. So if it requires work, I'm going to do it. And when I came into the realization that I was willing to do it, then I did the work. And I think for men, there's many men out there that don't want to do the work, and I think it requires that. And I think that applies for women, but at least from the perspective of a man, it's important that you embody that and then you spend the energy learning and learning what it takes to be a man in a relationship. And then, I would say learning about women's psychology, learning about, I think to me that was really important, understanding what makes you women tick, like understanding what you find attractive, what you don't, all these things that we just talked about. I think I spent time reading books, learning podcasts because I wanted to be that. And I cannot just expect women to do the work for me. I need to do the work. So doing the work is important. I think that's what I would say.
Learn how to tap into your masculinity. Don't be afraid. It's only toxic when you make it toxic. And with that, on the a little bit on the flip side of that, don't be afraid to also give validation. For you guys to call it sweet names, to say good morning, good night, and every now and then give us a rose or a little something, please do so. If you feel like you're at that level now with that person, don't just do it
just to do it.
But I think that's one advice that I would give men.
Yeah, I would say honestly, be honest with yourself and with the woman. If you're dating intentionally, try to be honest with what you want, with what you expect out of the woman. If you're expecting certain roles to be played by her, let her know. Also with the validation, learn to receive the validation as well, because I feel I've seen that men for some reason chase the woman that is not giving the validation, that's giving him the cold shoulder, but that's not emotionally available. And ask yourself why. Why are you wanting this person instead of the girl that's giving you the attention that you need, that's trying to look out for you, your needs.
What about women? What advice would you give us ladies, heterosexual women?
I would say definitely the first couple ones that I mentioned for men apply. Understand what you want and make sure that you have it very clear and be open and honest with it. I think it's huge. In addition to that, I would say for women, understand that also many of us maybe didn't grow up with our dads, or we didn't have male figures in our in our surroundings. So sometimes we just don't know how to act. I've come across when I was dating women that expected me to kind of do things that I didn't know, and I think it's okay to have an expectation, but sometimes it's impossible if you didn't have that surrounding. So give men a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, and then also just know that men, we are very logical in general, and we're really bad. We're not as good as reading body language. We're not there's a lot of things I would say for women, I would suggest to not expect men to just know hints, communicating
read our
with
minds.
men. I think reading our minds, no, and it's not really about reading your mind, it's about reading the person. But I think many men don't know how to do that, and just being open about dating different type of men beyond your normal kind of and this I guess applies to men too. It's just being open and giving people a chance. And then have your expectations aligned with reality, and I think this applies for both. But I think for women right now, you ladies, we are in a generation that you guys are being more successful. There's more women than men graduating college. You guys essentially have really high leveled up your value as a total gender. So as that happens, you got to realize that you're going to have a little more of a challenge finding men that are at the level or above. So understanding that is going to take work also from your end. It's not only about what men do, it's about what you ladies do too. So
something that I do have to say, and this is going to sound harsh to my ladies out there, I am so sorry. I'm a true feminist, I promise. But someone has to say it. And in dating intentionally, we need to stop being delusional and look inwards. We have influencers telling us to go for these high value men, but we have to ask ourselves, are we even high value women ourselves? We cannot expect men to solve our problems, like you said earlier, or to bring everything to the table. And just for us to show up with our pretty face. No.
just for existing, you
just for
deserve
existing.
everything.
No, like no, we
Huge red flag.
we are humans at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You also have to put in the work. Don't expect the men to do it all.
So what you said, like with giving them the benefit of the doubt, and some men also don't grow up with having a men figure and stuff. I think that we need to change the perspective that men are bad guys. Like, you're a guy, like obviously you're gonna hurt me or whatever. Like, that's not the case. Like, sometimes like, you know, hurt people. And I know that I've heard some great guys out there with, and that wasn't obviously my intention at all. So I would say be honest, like, again, with yourself, with what you want, with how you're feeling. I'm an emotional, sensitive being. So sometimes, like, how you may communicate, a certain tone that you may say or you may be talking to me in, can, to you it's fine, but to me it's like, oh my god, why are you yelling at me? Like, you know. So if that's how you're feeling, like, it's okay to speak your mind, but that doesn't mean like being rude to the guy. It doesn't mean like how, like, be careful with how you're putting yourself out there, you know, and just be patient and kind with the guy.
Yeah,
as well.
don't start drama just for the fun of it.
No seas tóxica, you know?
That's true.
I guess the last question that I have for everyone here is, what have you learned this far in your journey with dating?
I would say, I mean, besides everything that we just talked about, I think most important thing is that happiness is your responsibility. It's not your partner's responsibility, it's yours. So if you know that, and if you're aware of that from the get-go, and if you're striving to have a relationship, try to find happiness on your own before you find a partner. Because when you actually meet them, they're only going to be adding, and you're gonna actually add more. If you meet someone happy, who's happy that they, I mean, not all the time, but like that it's fulfilled, that person is gonna add value in your life. And I think expecting the other person to just fix your life and make you happy is not a good way to go about it. And I think doing the work, I think for me, enjoying the process of becoming a better man, striving to elevate myself in different ways in my career, in my personal goals, in my hobbies, having like a well-rounded life allowed me to show up better in a relationship, and I'm seeing the fruit of it right now. I mean, really enjoying the relationship. And then I also am able to recognize that when I was looking for, you know, I was dating, I was looking for a partner. Once I found someone that had that, it was really easy for me to recognize that, because when you're doing the work, you understand how to spot it. And to me, it not only was, hey, I can show up in this way because I've done the work, I can also look for it. And once I found it, I was like, okay, yes, this is the person. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna be, I wanted to last for a long time, hopefully forever, but now I know I have the tools to be able to find that, and I wouldn't have done it if I wouldn't have done the work myself. So I would say that's the biggest thing. Just focus on yourself, and if you focus on yourself well, you can actually add more to the table in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that reminds me of a conversation we had a long time ago when you were still single, dating. Yes, accepting yourself, but also recognizing the value that you have. Because I used to tell Camilo, like, you are a catch. You don't go with these women with kids if you, you know,
absolutely not.
You know, like I remember I had to remind him sometimes, like, do not waste your money. Like, that's money and time for someone that, I'm sorry, but it's not to your level, you know, because
That's
you
true.
are a catch at the end of the day. You are a catch. You are a catch. I'm a catch.
Yes.
So recognize that.
Value yourself.
Yes,
Love
recognize that.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna add to that. I would say that I have learned to value myself more after every failed relationship. I no longer focus on trying to make the guy fall for me, but I try to focus on, like, why would I fall for this guy? Why would I go out with this person? Like, what are they doing for me to want to give them my time and my energy? And like you said, like, I have learned that my partner is not supposed to fix all of my problems. If anything, they're just gonna make it easier to handle.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
You know, one of my favorite quotes that I saw by @LoveQuotes, it says, I want to work on myself with you by my side, and I want you to work on yourself with me by your side.
nice.
Life isn't easy. Let's do it together.
Yes, I love
I
that. One thing that I would like to add very quickly is just a concluding remark is to not lose yourself for the sake of love. I've learned that the phrase, what happens in your relationship stays in your relationship, can be very toxic and incarcerates you. It puts so much pressure on your significant other to be your everything. It does not allow for community, for friends, just to step in and offer different outside perspectives. You need friends, you need family, and the world does not revolve around your significant
Yes.
other, because then you're losing agency.
Yeah. Good closing remark. I love it.
Job.
Thank you guys so much for watching, for listening. Thank you for your time. Honestly, that's so precious, like we've said. Thank you for choosing to be here, and I hope that you were able to hear something that you needed to hear, something that you want to take with you. I know what questions I'm going to ask on my next date. I don't know when, but eventually. And thank you so much again for just being here. And thank you, Camilo, for being here,
Thank
for
you
your
having me.
advice,
It
for
was
your
so much fun.
mindset.
This was fun. I'm proud of you guys. Thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun, and I can't wait to continue see you guys growth with your podcast.
Thank
you.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.